In this video, I will be continuing with the inlet catalog and the process of classifying the different types of inlets. So I'm going to refer back to my spreadsheet that has all of my inlets for my feature definitions, and I'm going to use this to go through one by one and classify each type. So I'm going to start with the type B inlet with a type B frame and grate. And then in my standard plates or standard drawings, I'm going to take a look at my type B inlets. So in this case, I have a few different drawings that are going to give me information about the type B inlet. So I have information about the bottom structure, and then let me go ahead and grab the type B grate. And then looking on down, I also have an installation of a type B inlet. So in this drawing, then I can get an idea of what type of inlet it is. So I am going to have a curb opening, and then I'm also going to have a grate. And then I'll go over and look at my grate itself. So here I have the grate portion, and then this is where I'm going to have the opening. And then down here is where I'm going to get some information just about the bottom structure, where I can get those inside dimensions. Now, before I start configuring my inlet catalog, I find it easier to input this information into a spreadsheet first. So here I'm starting with a type B inlet, and I've just made the assumption at this moment that these are all going to be combination. But that may not be the case once I start looking at the drawings. But I'm going to start taking a close look at the type B with type B frame and grate. I already know that's a combination. Another thing you can do is if these inlets have already been modeled, it's a good idea to take a look at the 3D model to get a better idea of what that inlet's going to be looking like, what type of grate it uses. But I'm going to refer to the standard drawing for this type B frame and grate. So I'm going to compare this with my HEC 22 grates and come up with the closest fit here. So after looking at all of these, I'm going to choose the 45-degree tilt bar, which is going to be my closest option. Another thing I could do is do a sensitivity analysis, which would mean making adjustments to the structure dimensions in order to get that opening area that's going to be accurate. So I'm going to refer back to this for how those opening areas are calculated. So all I'm doing here is I'm going to classify the inlet type and the grate type. And I'm going to do this for all of my inlets. And then later on I'll come back through and I'll actually set up what those widths and lengths are for the structure. So now I'm moving into my type B with type E. And now I want to classify this inlet. Now this is going to be a little bit different. Even though it is a type B, I'm not going to have a curb opening. And looking at the 3D model, I'm going to see that more clearly. So this is going to be placed against a curb, so that's going to mean that this is a grate inlet. So moving back to my spreadsheet, I'm actually going to move these to my grate tab because now I'm going to have different parameters that I'll enter into my inlet catalog. So I've added those inlets over here to my grate tab, and I've classified them as a grate inlet, and now I need to go ahead and take a look at the grate type. So again, I'm going to be comparing, so I'm going to look at this grate, and then I'm going to go to my HEC 22 grates and come up with the closest match. So for this, I'm going to be using a curved vane. Alright, now I'm going to move back to my list, and now I'm going to move into those type P inlets. Right, so I'm going to go back to my drawings, take a look at a type P frame and grate, and this is actually going to be a grate inlet as well, as I'm not going to have a curb opening. So just work my way through, and I'm going to classify all these inlets in this way. So I'm going to have to move these over to my grate tab, and I'll classify the inlet type as well as the grate type. So that's going to wrap up my type B inlets, and then I'll move to my type C and D next.